Welcome back to the channel. As I had mentioned in the previous video, I wanted to do a video about Linux distributions, and I want to go over the distribution that I'm currently using. As you can see here, this is a distribution called Antix Linux, and right now all I'm running is a screen capturing software, and as you can see, the RAM usage is only 393 megabytes. Um, Idle, this thing runs, if you don't have any programs running, it can get down as low as like 216 megabytes, which to me is pretty impressive. As you can see, the CPU is not running, crazy, nor is the disk. So I'm going to bring up some pages here in a moment to show you a little more about Antix. It's easy to install, just like a lot of other Linux distributions. Basically, what I did for my setup is I downloaded a program that allows you to basically create a bootable USB, and then you just take the ISO and you use that program and you create a bootable USB for Antix, and then you can install from there. I do believe you can run Antix solely from a USB, but I would assume it's probably going to be better for performance to actually run it from a physical hard drive. This is my preference. You may decide to do it differently. But there again, as I said, this is what I use for my system. It runs really smoothly, and it's very, very, very minimal. Like I said, I am running a screen capturing program right now, and that's why you see the RAM up here at 394. Ordinarily on idle, it runs anywhere between like 215 to 256, which is incredible compared to what you get running something like Windows or even some of the other more popular and well-known Linux distributions, like different versions of Linux Mint and that sort of thing. So yeah, let's bring up a terminal and I'll show you something else. Now, I noticed the other day when I was on YouTube that someone had made a comment that they were using a really old system and they were trying to find a good distribution, and they had tried out a couple, but no matter what they tried, they were still unable to, like, say, go to YouTube and watch a video. And I mentioned that also in my previous video. The really weird code that they use on YouTube on the site itself is very bad. It's not designed for performance. It's designed to like basically spy on you, and has Google crap all in it, and it's just not really good. So I'm going to show you a way that you can approach that as well in this video. So, but let's start off here. Bring up a terminal. As you can see, the Antix ISO and install. I mean, you've got most of the basic programs that you could need. You've got accessories here. You've got a few little games. You've got some graphic programs. Now, I don't remember if GIMP comes pre-installed or not, but I installed it here on the system. Internet, multimedia, you've got DVD players and things like that. The basic things that you would need for an operating system are already here, right out of the box. So let's do a terminal here. Okay, so let's see. First off, I believe I've got to enable my, I think I've got the Ethernet shut off. So let's, okay, let's do CD that, enter password. That didn't work. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Yeah, I had it turned off. Okay. So as I mentioned in the previous video, this is the firewall that I use. It's called UFW. It works pretty well. And generally speaking, if I'm not using the internet, I have this set to deny. So that way there's no traffic going in or out. Okay, so we got that turned on. Close that out. And let's see here. Let's try to load. I will show you another thing. If I decide that I'm just going to go to YouTube to watch videos, I'm not going to be browsing the web or doing anything else. There's a particular browser that I use called Surf browser. It's like there's a maybe German or there's a group of programmers, and they've got a site called like Suckless. And basically the premise is they say that their software doesn't suck, but all of it is designed to be very minimal. And I've found that if I use their browser in a certain configuration and I go to a front end for YouTube, then I can watch videos, and the RAM usage over here, as you'll see, is very, very minimal. Like it's way better than if you were going straight to YouTube. And it's also better instead of it's better than if you were trying to watch YouTube videos on, say, Firefox or one of your more standard browsers. So let's see if we can get to that and bring it up here. See if we can, here we go. Now, as you'll see here in this command prompt, I'm also using a program here called FireJail. And basically what it does is it allows you to run a program like a web browser, sort of in a container. And another thing to note here, when you're using the Surf browser, you can add this argument here, this dash D, and basically, what that tells the browser is don't write anything to the hard drive. Like you're not downloading anything. So it's a little more secure that way. So let's just run this. It's going to bring up a bunch of stuff because I don't know that mine is configured, the way it should be, but it does work for what I need it to. So we'll bring it over here and see if we can get a YouTube video going. Okay, so let's see. First off, the front end that I tend to use is called Invidious. So we'll search for that. Now, one thing I will say, like I mentioned a while ago, the Surf browser isn't a great browser for doing various things on the web. Like, as you can see, there's no menu bar up here. There are no tabs and things like that. And I really don't know a lot about configuring it. So, but for this particular instance case, it does really good. So here we have Invidious. We're going to click there. And when you get into this main page here, you'll see that there are various instances of this. Basically, these are stored. These are instances of this interface that people, are hosting online. And generally, I start at the top of the list. This is one that I use quite a bit. So all you have to do is just click on it. And here we are. So it brings you basically to YouTube, but you're not actually on YouTube. Now, if you look over here, you can see my RAM usage is 502. There again, were I not running a screen capturing software at the same time, this would be much lower, at least 400, somewhere around in there. So let's see if we can just bring up something. I think I saw where one of the people that I follow on YouTube, Mental Outlaw, had posted something. Another thing that I will say, using these interfaces, of course, I'm not logged in because I don't know how trustworthy that would be to log in through an interface like this. So you don't get the home page with things that are recommended. The algorithm basically will watch what you watch, and it will recommend, similar content. So you don't get that, unfortunately, using these interfaces. But if you've got old hardware, an old computer, and maybe like me, you don't have a graphics card, so you just want something that will run and not make your system go crazy, this is, a really good approach. And I am not seeing the video that I was looking for here. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, Mental Outlaw. So we'll just click here. sometimes these interfaces can be a little slow. There again, it's a give and take. I'm just going to mute this because I don't want the audio, but just click it and you can see now we're at 581. Like I said though, were I not running the screen recording software, that would be much smaller. It would probably be 484 if that. Usually these run between 430 to 450. And I mean, you've got access to YouTube and it runs without using a lot of your memory and your resources. So yeah, um, that is the bulk of what I wanted to cover there with this YouTube stuff. I'll try to go to the Antix website and show you that just a little bit. Let's see here. With the Surf browser, there are commands that you can use to like change your URL. So I'm just going to we'll go to DuckDuckGo. And we'll look up Antix. Now, there are videos on YouTube that show you how to install Antix Linux and things of that nature, so I'm not going to go that route. Basically, I just wanted to show off the performance of the RAM usage and things like that. So let's see what happens when we bring this up. Okay. Now, another thing that I will try to cover very briefly. As you can see up here, it says proudly anti-fascist, and it's like when you install this, and if you were to open their web browser that comes with the distribution, you see that there are some bookmarks, and basically those are connected to the political views of the people who make this distribution. I mean, my opinion there is if you've got old hardware and you've got a computer that will barely run, get a distribution that works for you. That doesn't mean that you have to agree with what these people believe or like follow them or whatever. They're just people who came together and made a distribution. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there. I've seen some things on YouTube where they read that and they're like, oh well, I don't agree with that. I'm not using that. Well, and like I mean, if you want to struggle to run an operating system on your outdated hardware, go find something else. In my opinion, this operating system runs really well and it doesn't use a lot of resources, and that's why I use it. And I don't really care what these people believe in that made it. Like that's really irrelevant to me. So, but yeah, here's their website. You can click on the about and it gives you a little more info. Another thing that's a bit of sort of weird controversy in the Linux world is that this is a systemd free distribution. I don't know enough about systemd to tell you really what all that's about or if it's good or bad. I can only tell you that I've been using this distribution for over a month, and as far as performance and getting it to do the little bit of things that I need it to do, it works fine and it works well. Um, I haven't had a lot of crashes and things like that. Like it just works. So. But yeah, they do have forums that you can go to if you have problems with it. Say if you download and install, and you're having some kind of issue getting something to work. Let's see if I can bring up these forums. Yeah, so there, I mean, there are forums you can go here and make an account and ask a question if you have some problems, and they're pretty good. I'll say that about answering stuff. Um, I had some issues getting the VPN that I wanted to use to work on here, and I had read in the forums that on different versions of Antix it was working, and on some versions it wasn't. So basically, I went here and I, made an account and I made a post, and people were really quick to reply back and help me sort out, the issue that I was having. So as far as that goes, their user base seems really good as far as the forums are concerned. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover the bulk of this. I just wanted to show you this operating system, and like I said, if you're using old hardware and it's on a system where you don't have a lot of memory, maybe you don't have a graphics card, and so most operating systems, when you try to run them, are very sluggish, or you've got performance issues. This is a viable alternative, and it does run really well. So I hope that this helps some of you out there who may be running into some of those issues. There again, I would always suggest, if you're going to go to YouTube, do not use the main YouTube website. Use a front end, like I had mentioned, use Invidious. And yeah, I hope that all of you are well, and I will see you in the next video.